This is the Jackery SolarVault 3 Pro, and today we're going to take an exclusive first look at this before its launch in the UK. Now, Jackery know I have a thing or two about plug-in solar and batteries.
I thought we'd agreed no more batteries.
Well, technically it's not mine, it's Jackery's, but anyway, let's get it set up, let's take a look at all the features and functions of it, and let's get it powering at least my garden office, because I'm probably sleeping in there tonight. Okay, before we get started, quick change of glasses because the sun is just starting to come out. The humidity is going through the roof this morning. Anyway, let's talk about this. This is the Jackery SolarVault 3 Pro. Now, there are multiple versions of this, but today we're specifically going to talk about the Pro and the features and functions of it. This is a modular home energy storage system. Hey everyone, JT here. Whilst I was just editing this video, I wanted to make a quick correction. In the video, you'll see I have this cable. This is the cable that was supplied with the SolarVault 3 Pro with a standard UK molded plug on the end. Obviously, since then, we've received the legislation about plug-in solar in the UK. So Jackery asked me to clarify something for you. They are not calling this system plug-in solar, they're calling it plug-in ready. But there are a few things you need to be aware of. Instead of getting a plug like this, what you'll receive is something like this, which is the same connector, just on the other end of the cable, if I can actually find it, you'll find bare wires. Now, to comply with current wiring regulations, you need to have this installed by a qualified electrician, either directly into your consumer unit to its own MCB, RCB, RCBO, or into a fused spur. And again, this is work that needs to be undertaken by a qualified electrician. So I just wanted to clarify that. If you do see the British plug in the video, just be aware that this is not what is being supplied with the unit, to make sure it is fully compliant with UK regulations. So with that, back to the video. With 4 MPPTs, that means there are 4 separate inputs here on the side that let you plug solar panels into them. And each of these inputs is rated at 1000 watts. That means you can connect multiple panels to each of these. Then on the other side of the unit, we have all the connectivity. So we have the ability to connect to our main socket, we have a Wi-Fi antenna, and we have something which I've never seen on any plug-and-play system, an Ethernet port. You remember those things where we used to connect a physical cable to it? And for those that are maybe putting this in their garden shed, they're going to be running it away from the main house, wired Ethernet is something that just makes life a lot easier if you can't get a good Wi-Fi signal to where you're going to place this. Now, the unit itself is pretty self-contained. You can see it sitting here. This is on the optional base, and we'll come on to why the base is important in a moment. But a really nice self-contained unit. We've got a display along the front here, a power button, and a button then to connect IoT, as it's called. So it's the ability to connect your phone or connect to Wi-Fi for the device to be able to communicate with the cloud. Other than that, it comes in a nice metal enclosure, heat sink on the back. So again, no fans, no noise. If you're having this in your house, it'll sit there in the corner nice and silently and just run. Let's spin it around and let's take a look at the ports that are actually on the device. Now, this is a heavy unit. It's about 22 kilograms, and I'm going to lift it off the base. Now, the base is an optional extra, and one of the reasons you may actually want the base is if you're putting this in an outhouse or somewhere where there's a potential for dirt and dust on the floor, or potentially maybe even a little bit of water, this will lift the device off the floor. And that's important because there are connectors on the bottom, which we'll come to in a moment. But if we take a look on the side here, we've got a standard 3-pin power plug. This is the EPS port, the emergency power supply. Now, as with all microinverters that are available in the UK, if the grid goes down, this has to shut off. This can't supply power into your house during a power cut. But using the EPS port, you can plug any standard UK device in there and you can draw up to 1200 watts directly from the battery. Now, you're not going to run a kettle or any sort of heating device with 1200 watts. But if you need to keep your fridge or your freezer running, more than good enough. Personally, I use this when the battery is completely full and I don't want to be exporting energy to the grid because maybe it's the wrong time of the day and I'm not getting paid for it, is I plug a power station in here and I dump the power from here into the power station for use somewhere else. Then as we move down, we've got the Wi-Fi antenna here. Then we've got the grid port connection. And this is where our mains cable comes in. So we have a molded UK plug on one end and we have this connector on the other. Now this has a twist locking mechanism. So you just literally push it in, twist, and it will lock into place. And they've even included a little screw. If I unplug that, you can see there's a little screw there. So once it's locked into place, if you do this grub screw up, it will actually lock this onto the port. Underneath that, we have the battery vent port. So obviously if there's a problem with the battery, you don't want the battery to swell and increase pressure inside there. So there is an emergency vent port for the battery. There is a grounding terminal. So again, if you're using this somewhere where you need to earth it, then there is a grounding port there. And as I said earlier, underneath this is an Ethernet port. And there is an optional waterproof Ethernet there if somebody wants to put this outside. This is an IP65 rated device, so it can live outside. Just don't go power washing it. But again, if you do use wired Ethernet, it's really nice to see the inclusion of wired Ethernet on devices like this. Okay, let's spin it around. And as you can see on the other side, we have our 4 solar panel connections. So 4 pairs of MC4 connectors. And each of these are separate MPPTs. Now, why is that important? Well, as you can see with the panels behind me in my garden, panels are on different aspects. So some are south facing, some are east facing. There are panels on the other side of the garden that are almost west facing. If these were all connected in one string, then any shading on one panel can affect the performance of others. By putting the panels on separate MPPTs, each panel can be driven to its maximum capability. And that means if one panel gets a bit of shading, it doesn't affect the rest. Now these are up to 1000 watts per panel, but you are limited to 60 volts. So when you're figuring out whether you're going to connect panels in parallel or panels in series, just do the calculations to make sure you don't exceed 60 volts per MPPT. And again, it's nice to have 4 different sections there. Again, if you're in a situation like me where you've got panels distributed all over the place or on different aspects of your roof, a really, really great feature. Now, as I said earlier, this contains a 2.52 kilowatt hour battery. And for most people, that's probably enough. If all you're looking to do is supplement your house in the evening, then everything you need is in this one unit. But if you're me and you have a battery problem, you might want to add more to this. And you can actually expand this system with up to 5 add-on batteries. Now, other systems on the market do this by connecting cables between them and you end up with a parallel system. Jackery have gone with a different approach. I'm going to tip this up. Just watch we don't drop it on Yogi. And what you should be able to see underneath is a battery port. So if we've got a battery port on the bottom, we must have the ability to add more batteries. So this is another 2.5 kilowatt hour battery. So with these 2 units together, that gives us 2.5 plus 2.5, at least when I went to school, was about 5 kilowatt hours. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the base, and we will put the base there. We will drop the battery onto the base. Now, another reason for having the base, if you are using the expansion batteries, again, is there is another port on the bottom of the expansion battery, because these are just added like Lego bricks. They go up and up and up, and battery sits on top of battery. Then the whole system has the inverter module sitting on the top. So all we literally do is lift that onto the top, try and get everything lined up. And there we go, it's all done. We now have a 5 kilowatt hour system. Now, when you set it up like this, obviously it's designed to sit against a wall. It does come with brackets to secure the device to the wall. So once you've got this installed, you should drill some holes, put the brackets on, make it nice and safe so nobody can pull it over. But if you want to add another one, it literally is lift the top unit off, put the battery on, top unit goes on top, stack gets a little bit taller. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go install this in the garage. We're going to get this hooked up to some of the fence panels. Hopefully, I mean, it's the beginning of July. Hopefully we'll get some sun at some point to actually start using this system, and we'll see how it performs. As you can see, the electrician has been, the fuse spur is in place. We have our 10 meters of cable. Now, the unit's going to sit here. I could have had the electrician shorten the cable, but I thought at some point in the future, I might want to move this unit. Let's keep the cable at its full length, because you can guarantee if I cut it, when I come to move it, I'll need it to be 30 centimeters longer than it normally is. So we've got our solar panels coming in there. So we've got 4 separate strings, each with one 445 watt panel on the end of it. And so the only thing to do now is to get the unit in, get it installed, and start generating some power. So I found that it was a little too echoey under the bench for my microphone. So it really is as simple as put the base on the floor, put the expansion battery on top of the base, and then lift the inverter unit on top of that unit itself. Again, a little bit difficult not to hurt your back here is you need to be able to bend your back if you're picking this up, because it is about 20 kilos. And again, apologies for the views of my backside, but as you can see, it is really simple to get the unit stacked. It is recommended at this point to fix it to the wall, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and plug the MPPTs in. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the unit there, we've got the 4 MPPTs, and it really is as simple as plugging each solar panel or each string into the appropriate MPPT. So each of these MPPTs is capable of taking 1,000 watts. There is a limitation of 60 volts and 28 amps per MPPT. So long as you organize your panels in parallel, you can actually put multiple panels per MPPT up to a limit of 1,000 watts. In my case, I'm actually going to be installing 4 panels, each about 465 watts, and I'm going to be putting 1 per MPPT. Now, the reason for doing that is that the panels are all different orientations, so when we get different shading throughout the day, I don't want one panel that might be getting shaded impacting other panels. So that's the reason for doing it that way. Next, all we've then got to do is connect the power cable and power the unit up. Okay, so there's the unit, it's up and running. You can see we're getting about 351 watts right now. It'll take the MPPTs a little while to get the maximum from each panel, but that's a good start considering it's a little bit cloudy outside. Now, of course, nobody's going to look at the screen when it's under a desk or installed in the garage. The way you're going to manage the system is from the app. Now, this isn't going to be a full detailed explanation of every feature and function of the app. That will cover that in another video, but we can see the system is up and running. We're getting about 334 watts coming in, which isn't too bad considering we've got, completely cloud covered skies. If I go to the device itself, we're about 25% charge across the 2 batteries. And again, if I open that up, you can see the module details, 24%, 25%. Then simple explanation, we've got 340 watts coming in, we've got nothing going out. And then underneath where you see AC, that's that EPS port that I talked about. So if you want to send power out there, maximum of 1200 watts, you can do. We get a brief summary of what we've generated. So hardly anything so far, given we've just plugged it all in. Now, as most of you know, I like to take systems on long-term evaluation. I don't want to give you an opinion on a device based on 10 minutes of setting it up. I want to see how it's going to perform after a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. So what we're going to do with this system is we're going to plug this into my Home Assistant setup. We're going to publish daily data onto my website. So we'll come back, we'll pick this video up in about a month's time, and we'll take a look and see exactly how the system has performed, how much it's generated, how much money it's saved us, and then we'll do this for at least the next year. We'll run the system every single day. You'll be able to go to the website and see exactly what it generated just the day before. Okay, so it's been actually about 6 weeks since I installed the system, and it's been performing flawlessly. I literally have had to do nothing to it. I keep checking in on the data about once every 6 or 7 minutes, but the whole point of it is that it just sits there in the corner unobtrusively doing its thing. Now, the way I have it configured is that it stores solar energy throughout the whole day. It then obviously stores that in the battery. Then in the evening, it pushes that energy into the house. So it sends out 800 watts into the house so that when we're cooking dinner, we can use that energy up. And the next day, it fills the battery back up again, and we do the same thing. Okay, so if you'd actually like to keep track of how this system's been performing, you don't need videos from me every couple of days. You can do all of this on my website because I publish the data every single day. So exactly what the system's generated, how much we've used from the battery, and how much it would have cost us to take that energy if we'd have bought it from the grid at that specific moment, depending on the tariff that I'm on. So the numbers that you see here are specific to me and my tariff and my situation. So your mileage may vary. But if you head over to jonathantracy.com, click on data visualization up at the top there, click on long-term projects, that will bring you to the long-term projects dashboard. And then in the middle there, you can see the Jackery SolarVault 3, click on the open dashboard button, and it will bring you to this screen. So there's a little bit of blurb at the top of the screen there. You can see on the right-hand side, it says data loaded through the 20th of August. So it has data from everything up until yesterday. Now, the system's actually been offline for a couple of days, so don't be surprised if you see a few days running up to the 20th of August where there's no data. That's because we were moving some solar panels around for another project, which I'll explain in a future video. A bit of information about the system, full disclosure about the fact that Jackery sent the system to me at no cost to try. Then underneath that, we've got savings, solar value, export energy savings, and total ROI. So let's start with ROI first, because you'll see there it says 4% saved £66.74 of £1,800. Now, I don't actually have the release pricing for this yet. I'm waiting for Jackery to launch. I will update that as to what this system would have cost if you'd have bought it at full retail price. But I've just put £1,800 in there for now, just to give me a figure to work from. So we've actually saved £66.74 in the just over a month that the system's been running. That's broken up with £40 and 2 pence of that is from solar energy that we generated at no cost because it came from our solar panels. We stored it in the battery. Then instead of buying those kilowatts from the grid, when we used them, we priced that energy as if we'd have bought it from the grid. So if we use it during the middle of the day, it's off-peak pricing on the flux tariff that I'm on. If we use it between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., then we'd pay the sort of super peak pricing that the flux tariff has there. But 31 days worth of data, we've got £66.74. Now again, this is just showing you July, so hence the reason for 31 days. If I actually go back a little bit, I can go back to the full view. So if we go back to 2026, you'll see we've got data for July and half of August. But if we look at July there, you can see an average day, probably somewhere at the beginning of the month, not so great. It was a little bit cloudy at the beginning of the month. Obviously, as we got into the heat wave at the end there, you can see things started to ramp up. But with the configuration that we have with our fence-mounted solar panels, we're saving somewhere between £1 and £2 per day. Again, if you just click on the net tab, you can if you just want the pounds and pence, you're not interested in the kilowatt hours. If you want to see a mix, now the two numbers that you can see there, so there's the what we generated and then what we exported or what we shared into the house. So on some days we generated more, we didn't use as much. On other days, we used pretty much everything that we brought in. If you click on the energy tab, you'll see the direction of the flow of energy. So most of the bars you can see there, the orange ones that are going up, that's generation. The little blue bits on the top when I was testing some grid import, so actually charging the batteries from the grid. And then under the line, you'll see there's two different colors. So what you can see there, first of all, is the purple. So that is export to the house. Now, we're not actually exporting any of this energy to the grid. We're using it up in the house. And then the sort of orangey, pinky color, depending on what screen you're looking at this on, that's the EPS output. So that's the port on the side, the plug socket that's on the side of the unit. And I use that as kind of like an overflow. So once the battery is full, I don't want to just discharge it to the grid because no one's using the energy, is I actually have a power station sitting by the side of it, and I export that. So think of it like an overflow from your water system. When it's full up, it flows out and into the power station. So on those days there, we had an abundance of energy, so we exported a couple of kilowatts usually into a power station for use later on. And again, then you can go across to the ROI tab. You can see we've paid off about 5% since the unit was installed. Total across the month and a half is £97.54, which for about 7 weeks of use to get £100 back already, it's pretty good. Now, obviously, this is the summer. We are in mid-August right now. That isn't going to continue throughout November, December, January, February. So that's why I publish this information. So you can see how it works on a really great day, how it works on a really poor day, and how it works in the middle of winter. But again, if you want to follow along, all of this information is published on my website. So I think that's a good place to leave this video because the unit's installed, it's working, it's doing exactly what it says, and we're able to get data from it. Now you can do that either through the app or there is one feature of this that I really, really like, is something called MQTT. Now, for all the Home Assistant geeks out there, you'll know exactly what MQTT is, but it is a feature of the app, and it means that getting data into platforms like Home Assistant, or in my case, onto my website, is really, really easy. Now, we're not going to go into it today. I just wanted to call it out because it is a pretty unique feature. I don't think I've seen this on any other platform. So props to Jackery. Thank you very much for MQTT support. Really appreciate it. With that, I'm going to sign off. I'll be back in a few months. I'll let you know how this is running. Probably as we get into winter, so you can actually see the difference in the charts between the peak of summer and the depths of winter. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.